sorry يا ابونا معلش.
No worries at all. Thank you. Oops. Whoa. Okay. حللني يا ابونا. Absolve me. In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, one God, amen. أكلتوا كويس؟ لعبتوا كويس؟ I didn't get to play. Did you get to play? Okay. All right. Enjoying yourself so far, or are we bored? Or are we happy? Not paying attention to eh? Come on, bro. He's capped. All right. So, as we said in the morning, that the introduction about the challenges with faith leads us to talking about for sure. Dealing with doubt. Dealing with doubt. You drop the doubt. This is symbolic. It's on purpose. It's on purpose. Okay. So when it comes to challenges with faith, as we said, doubt is one of them, and this is something that's very important. And dealing with doubt will help us when it comes to dealing with other things, and when it comes to our approach when we talk to different people, and with many other things. Boys in the back. I think we're mature enough to be able to behave. We're not in elementary, right? Respect your broccoli heads and yes. I always say that haircut, I think they're trying to mimic priests because we have the hat, so it makes us look like that naturally. But they do it with their hair. It's like a hair amma. All right. Okay, the big misunderstanding. I'm sorry, I didn't mean broccoli, I meant mushroom head. The big misunderstanding about doubt. Okay. Question. How many of us think that doubt... Oh, you have a question? أنا كلمت. All right. Is doubt a sin? What do y'all think? Put your hand up if you think doubting is a sin. No. Like, this is not Sunday school, okay? Put your hand up honestly from your heart if you feel that if you're doubting, that you're going to be looked down upon, or that this is considered a sin. What if the people, how many, put your hand up if you feel that if you're doubting, that it's going to be considered by other people that it's a sin. Let's be honest. I'm very proud of y'all, okay? So, doubting in of itself is not the sin. That's not what the sinful thing is about. Okay? Doubting, what does doubting mean? Doubting means that I'm skeptical or I'm questioning a certain ideology or belief. Questioning something means that I'm thinking about it. Thinking is not a sin. Okay? In other religions, it is. In other ideologies, thinking or criticizing may be looked down upon. But with us, the act of doubting itself, or if I have doubtful thoughts, this is not what the problem is. It's how I deal with it is what determines if I'm dealing with this the right way or the wrong way. Does that make sense? Is that clear? Okay, so that being said, we have to agree that we have to address doubt properly. We have to address doubt properly. Meaning that whenever there is doubt, or whenever we are questioning something, we have to take it the correct way, otherwise it can lead me astray. Such as what? I'll give you a very easy analogy to follow. If you're in a car and the GPS is telling you to go into a dark road, okay, we can doubt that the GPS, well, maybe Siri is messing up right now, right? The way I deal with it will determine whether I get lost or not, right? I use my brain to determine whether I should follow what the GPS is saying or not, right? Does that make sense? Does that make it easier? Or أنتوا أكلتوهم إيه? What did they eat? ده أنتوا لو يعني كشري عمل فيكم كده؟ Okay. Okay. And in order for us to address doubt properly, okay, we have to make sure that we keep our minds and our hearts open. We have to keep our minds and our hearts open. What does this mean? What does this mean? We hear it all around us all the time, girls. Girls. لا phones away. يعني that's not right. نعم يا بابا. Yeah, critical thinking is very important, very good. We hear all the time in this country and in this society, the idea of being open-minded, right? Be open-minded. The problem with the Egyptian culture, we're not open-minded. Open-minded, 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 لغاية ما فتحتوا دماغنا. Okay? So, being open-minded, the idea behind it, okay, theoretically, this is great. But the problem with the society's open-mindedness is that it's very biased towards whatever it's open-minded with. So, when I say keeping our minds open, I'm not talking about keeping our minds open as the definition of the world defines it. I'm talking about true open-mindedness, meaning that I truly consider everything around me, everything, right? I'm not just looking at the atheist point of view, or I'm not looking at the agnostic point of view, or the doubting point of view. No, I'm looking at everything. I'm considering both the faith, and I'm considering, if I have questions, it means I'm already considering the atheistic side, right? Realistically, if I have questions about the faith, the doubt is already in me, so I'm already considering this side. So what is really needed here to balance things out is for me to consider the faithful side and considering this with an open mind. Even if something is hard to understand, not to dismiss it right away. Keep my mind and my heart open. Make sense? So let's talk about these things in a little bit more of a detail. What I really want to focus on is the idea about, is doubt a sin? Okay? It's very important for us to realize that without doubt, faith cannot be strong. Doubt is actually essential for a strong faith. That might not be what you're expecting to hear, but this is the truth. If I'm not able to question, or if I'm not able to answer the questions that I have, today we don't really need to put the effort to question. All the questions are around us. Agree? Who does not agree with this statement? The questions are already all around us. We don't really, if you wanted to question something, it's already around us. We don't need to put the effort to see the questions. True or false statement? If you disagree with me, honestly, put your hand up. Okay, I'm glad we're all on the same page. So, when it comes to this, it's important to understand that me realizing and me perceiving these questions and these things, that's not unhealthy. Bil'aks, it means that I notice the things around me. I am aware. I am not naive to all the things that are around me. Whether I agree or whether I have these, or I let these doubtful thoughts penetrate my mind or not, being aware of the questions and being very awake and attentive to these things around me helps strengthen the faith. And the thing is that I know that there is many ways of thought that may not be pleasing to us. That, for example, if you have doubt, no, ignore it. The worst thing you can do if you have a doubtful thought is to bury it. Because it will come out. It will come out. You know, when you have a really nice, backyard of grass, how many people here, that live in houses, have a backyard that has really good grass and it's very well maintained? Some of us, right? What happens if your parents or whoever is taking care of the lawn finds a weed that grows in the middle? إيه اللي بيحصل? They freak out. يا لهوي هتقتل كل الجراس, right? And then they have to go ويحطوا مش عارف they have to take it out of the root and things like that. What happens if they were to just take some grass and bury it and they would just take it كده from the surface and bury the remains of it كده هوت كده just to hide it? What's going to end up happening the next week? It's going to grow, multiply, and destroy the good grass. Doubt is the same way. Realizing that it's there and dealing with it properly is the key. It's not that one weed that is harmful, but if it's not dealt with properly, it will multiply and destroy everything around it. Do you get that? Does that make sense? Did anyone disagree? Okay. So that is the thing. So it's essential for us to keep a strong faith. By the way, for those of you who have taken an effort before, yes, Habibi. Right, but waiting to get the answer is different than burying it. Waiting means I'm considering and I'm waiting. I'm patiently waiting and looking for signs to get the answer, right? But burying it means that I'm going to ignore it, pretend it's not there. And that doesn't work. We see this, and it's a struggle. Many of us will go through phases like this. By the way, Every single person sitting in this room has either gone through doubt, are going through doubt, or will go through doubt. Nobody is immune to this. This is natural. Okay? This is something that we all will have to face. And how we face it is what will determine whether we are truly strong in the faith or whether, God forbid, it goes another direction. It's important we don't let things fester inside of us. It's important to not be, whenever we have a question, to ask. And actually, the idea of questioning and being able to find the answer, if any of us here, how many of us here have had a conversation or were asked a question that they couldn't answer and they went and looked for the answer to answer like an atheist or someone who's a non-believer? Any of us have gone through this yet at school or something like this? A couple of us. Wouldn't you agree with me that when you did this research, it strengthened your faith? Because these questions that you couldn't answer made you question at even for 1%. And then when you actually did the research, it confirmed your faith. Right? And so the idea of questioning, when it's taken in the right context, okay, and when we actually take these questions, we start researching and we start asking the right people and looking in the right resources, it will strengthen our faith. So it is, yes. Okay, how do we answer other people's questions if we ourselves have questions? This is a great question. Okay, and the answer to that is before I answer somebody else, I have to make sure I understand. That's exactly what I'm getting at. The second point here, if you read it, it says what? Questioning helps us understand and appreciate what we believe. So when we question things, we have to look, like just like in the book, how the author was looking after trying to find the answers, and at some points they were saying with some doubt, you have to wait, right? Sometimes questions don't get answered right away. It takes time. So I have to understand that this doubt, if I let the doubt make me go towards the direction of, no, God doesn't exist, this can't be, and I start closing my mind and my heart towards the existence of God, then this is wrong. But if I have questions and I start addressing them, I start looking in the right places, I am not ashamed of having questions. A lot of us, and I'm not going to tell you a show of hands or anything, but a lot of us know very well that if you have a question inside of you, that many of us will not be comfortable going up to our parents or to Abuna even and tell Abuna, I'm doubting some aspects of the faith. This is a reality. Many of us, this is a point that's very sensitive, and it's a point that is a big obstacle in our own lives whenever we feel this. And one of the biggest things to overcome this step is to make these thoughts known. Of course, I'm not telling you go to your friends and say these or no. But go to the right sources. If you honestly feel that my parents might not handle this the right way, or my parents may not have the right answers, or they may not have the detailed answer, talk to Abuna. Talk to your servants. Talk to a servant that you trust. Look in the right sources. You have many resources that have question and answers. You have many things, like if you were to send like even an anonymous message or like write a paper anonymously and give it to someone to give to Abuna even. Or like one of the things that like we do, for example, at our church, I have a question and answer forum that's absolutely anonymous. People can post any questions on there. Any questions. And this at least will get addressed in our youth meeting or whatever the case may be, right? And this way, when we make these thoughts known, number one, you're helping yourself. Number two, you're helping us as a church. Why? Because we are aware that these are things happening. We're not turning a blind eye to it. A lot of the times, things get hidden or swept under the rug because we're too scared to say it. And then neither the servants nor Abuna will know. And at the same time, we have a problem that is not very apparent. Does that make sense? Yes. The cheating? Oh, great. قول تاني بقى عشان I was just focusing on you reading. Would there be a reciprocal relationship between doubt and faith? So the more faith I have, the less doubt. So again, building your faith, the challenge of building faith, one of the things along the way that you have to do is address the doubt. The amount of doubt, of course, the more faith that we have, the less doubt we will have. The more faith that we have, the less doubt that we will have. But that doesn't mean that along the way there will be some questionable things that will make us question the faith. This is a normal part of spiritual life. It's a normal part of having faith. right? It's how you address these along the way. The thing that I'm saying is the more that we don't address these, the more that it grows, and the more that it will be like a fighting force against our faith. The devil will attack you more. That's absolutely valid. That doesn't mean that this will necessarily grow the doubt in your heart. He can try, but doubt is something that happens within us. The ideologies are in front of us. How I handle it, remember, how I handle the doubt that comes to me is what matters. And the amount of faith is, and we're going to talk about that, is what really determines how I take these things. You know, does it matter how much I look like I have faith or how much faith I actually do have? Okay? These are great questions. Great questions. Okay. So we said that doubt is essential for a strong faith, and questioning helps us understand and appreciate what we believe. Also, doubt shows whether we are serious about getting answers or asking for the sake of asking. Okay? One of the biggest challenges that we face today is, and you'll see this even along, with your friends, you'll see this with each other, that there's many people. I want to know why so many people are laughing. Did I say something funny? Share, like if it's something I want to laugh too. Okay. As I'm saying doubt, it's like وزعنا نكت هنا احنا. Okay. Huh? Yeah, Baba, في ايه? I'm just picking on you because you're Canadian like me. Yeah. Okay. So there's an attitude that many of us see and many of us unfortunately adopt. And this attitude is questioning for the sake of questioning. Many of us, it's not a point of finding the answer. It's a point of, okay, I'm going to make a very good intellectual point. And I'm going to go ask. And I'm going to think of the possible answers. And I already have the answers to those answers lined up. And sometimes I have the answers to the questions, to the answers that are given, lined up. Because it's about a war of debate. It's about how whoever is better at debating, that's the truth. So if I go talk to a Christian servant and they're able to answer all my questions, then Christianity is correct. But if I'm able to, with my questions and my doubt or whatever the case may be, if I'm able to make them stumble, then how can their faith be correct if they're not able to defend it, right? And this attitude is very dangerous. So actually, addressing doubt in the correct way, when I start questioning in order for me to find answers, this will make my faith very strong. Because faith that is built over time, because I had my questions answered, and because I experienced God in my life, okay? This is something that will help me whenever I'm put in these situations. And will help me, yes. That are what? Illogical. What I'm saying is that test 1, 2. Oh, perfect. Okay. I am your father. Good. All right. No pun intended. Okay. So it's how I take the answer. If I take the answer with, all right, so I'm given an answer, I'm taking it, challenge accepted, I'm going to go and try to come up with an even, a bigger question to corner the person asking. Okay? And then it becomes a loop. It becomes a loop. And when we talk about dealing with atheists and things like that, you'll see exactly, yes? Okay. Okay. So Okay, so she's saying that sometimes whenever we have a conversation with an atheist, that they're not convinced, no matter how many answers I give, and they're just arguing for the sake of arguing. That's what I'm saying. But that's why I'm saying, like, when it comes to handling ourselves, when we have doubtful thoughts ourselves, when we handle these correctly, we will know how to discern between people who want to know the truth and people who want to argue for the sake of arguing. Because people who argue for the sake of arguing, the approach to this is not for me to stay there and argue. I have to know the answers for myself and strengthen my own faith. But the approach is different. That's what I'm saying. So when it comes to focusing with ourselves, as you were saying, when we focus with ourselves, when we focus on our own doubts, when we focus on the questions that are around us in order to strengthen our own faith, it will help us in the long run to discern. Great questions. Great. I like how you guys are interactive. لا كشري طلع كويس. كشري طلع إنه Okay. So addressing doubt properly. This is from the book. I promise I'm not going to read all of this, but I highlighted some point. Yes. When can doubt become a sin? Okay, doubt in of itself or questioning is not a sin. But when doubt turns into denial of God, when I deny the existence of God in action or in words or things like that, that's when it becomes sinful. A sin is anything that drives me away from God, right? So when I'm questioning, this is not driving me away from God. If I'm questioning, it means that I'm trying to find answers because I want to get closer to God. But if I'm questioning because I want to prove God doesn't exist, right, then I already have this seed in my heart. This is when it starts to become, right, it can lead up to me denying the existence of God. Make sense? Okay. Great questions. Okay, so this is a passage from the book, and it's talking here about a concept of environment, right? If I want to strengthen my faith and I want to deal with doubt, right, it says here in the part that's highlighted, I suggest they go where faith is. So here he's talking about, we can read actually the paragraph so we get the context. But people really have to decide why they want to believe. Is it because they've seen some evidence Christianity is true, or because they're desperate without God? And if they don't want to believe, why not? If they have intellectual doubts, that's fine. But don't stop there. They need to go deeper into what really may be driving them back away from God. For 10 years, I've been visiting a young girl whose family has been abusive, and she has just finally admitted to me that it's not God she has trouble with. It's not her questions, it's her scars, her emotions. She needs to start there. Assuming a person wants to believe, I said, what do you recommend as a next step? I suggest they go where faith is. If you want to grow roses, you don't buy an acre at the North Pole. I really like this. You go where roses grow well. If you're going to do faith, you probably don't want to join American Atheists Incorporated. Get around people who you respect for their life, their mind, their character, and their faith, and learn from them, watch their life. So here, this is directly talking about environment and how it has a direct impact on how I address doubts. If I plant myself within groups that all they have is atheistic thoughts, all they have is questioning, doubt, for the wrong reasons, right? Naturally, it will be very hard to get the answers, right? They use the example here, if you want to grow flowers, you're not going to go plant it in the North Pole just because you need land. You're not going to go buy an acre in the North Pole, right? You're going to go where it's a fertile ground for you to be able to grow the roses. The same thing is with faith. When my environment is a good environment for things to grow, for my faith to grow, then I will be able to realize the things that sometimes are just a reach away and I can't touch them, like the faith, right? Sometimes there are aspects with the faith when it comes to God. It's very hard sometimes because we cannot see God physically in front of us. Right? God is felt, yes. Okay, so in this case, like, how do we help them? Well, how we help someone like this starts with us helping ourselves first. So when we are solid in our faith, okay, when God puts these people in our way, we are able to, through the grace of God, affect them in different ways. And we can talk about this. I will answer this question as soon as we're done this. But it's a good question. Like, remind me if I end without answering. Okay. But going back to to the idea of the environment, right? We see a very, like in the Bible, can you think of any parables that Christ told that show that where the environment, how good the environment is, determines if something grows or not? Huh? The sower with the seeds. Depending on where the seeds fell is how the seeds grew. By the way, a lot of times we really take the Bible for granted. We really take the Bible for granted. So many times we're like, I want an answer. I want something simple. And so many parables and so many simple verses answer so many questions, but it's like the answer is right in front of us. The parable of the sower is a very good example of this. Yani, this guy said it in a different way. He said the North Pole and roses. But the way Christ said it was very, very nice as well. I was going to say the roses. The seeds, right, that fell, for example, in the midst of the thorns. What happened to them? They grew, but the thorns grew with them and choked them out, right? And then when it was thrown in good ground, it grew with good roots, and it gave fruit, right? And it was strong no matter what kind of wind and no matter what happened. So environment matters. So one of the most important things for us to address doubtful thoughts or to address the questions that we have is make sure we're in the right environment. If I'm having like a big mistake that a lot of us are tempted with is if I'm questioning, for example, I'm giving just a hypothetical example. I'm questioning, for example, the validity that the communion is the body and the blood of Christ. Right? If I question this, the worst thing to do is to say, well, I'm not going to go to the liturgy until I can prove it. Do you get what I'm saying? No. If you really want to learn, you go to church, put yourself in that environment and see why these people in the church value it so much. Ask the questions there. But if you go online and you're asking like proof that communion is real, you'll find 100 answers, 100 things that say proof communion is not real. Trust me, this happens. You'll find many things that are against Christianity online. I'm not saying that you shouldn't go online, but until we're able to discern, look in the source first. We're blessed here. You have so many churches, so many resources, so many fathers. If you just go on the SUSCOP's website and you go under the question and answer section, it has like questions and answers about like 99% of anything you can think of. Anything you can think of, right? You have resources. Plant yourself in the right environment. Make sense? Okay. The next thing here, when it comes to the amount of faith, like we talked about, the seriousness of faith, right? Or the solidity of faith. And another quote here, I liked it, and I did pick it because he mentioned that he's Canadian, by the way. And I'm Canadian, for those of you who don't know. Okay. Solidity of faith. We Canadians know there are two kinds of ice, thick ice and thin, right? Right? أيوة. عارف كده ومش عارف. You're a true Canadian. Bravo عليك. Okay. You can have very little faith in thick ice and it will hold you up just fine. You can have enormous faith in thin ice and you can drown. It's not the amount of faith you can muster that matters up front. It may be tiny like a mustard seed, but your faith must be invested in something solid. Right? Like if I say, oh yeah, I believe in this, I believe in it. Like basically, when it's talking about thin ice, it's like when you say you believe in everything, right? And you're not really, and you're not taking the time to understand it. And you just say, I believe in everything كده وخلاص, blindly. This sometimes in today's world leaves us thin. I'm not talking about losing weight thin. I'm talking about intellectually thin when it comes to faith. Because we don't understand. Oh yeah, we believe that this is, we believe in God's existence. We believe in all this stuff. And we say, yeah, I believe. Right? But if you were questioned, you'll find yourself, how do I answer this? How do I answer that? Right? And the very simple answer here when it talks about faith, or it must be tiny like it may be tiny like a mustard seed, but your faith must be invested in something solid. Right? If I have, like maybe, if I don't understand every aspect of the faith, but the aspect that I know about, I strive every day to grow it and to know and to understand that when I'm questioned about it, there's no way that somebody can make me doubt it. Right? Like if I know how, like if I invest my time, for example, reading the Bible and understanding why this book is called the Holy Bible and why it's valid and why it is real and why everything in it is genuine, right? I may not know hymns or I may not be a servant, but because of this knowledge and this time that I invest understanding the Bible, do you think anyone, how hard will it be for someone to shake your faith in the Bible? Extremely difficult. Do you see what I mean? So even if it's based on something very little, one aspect, but I take the time to do my best through the grace of God to perfect this aspect, this is what matters more than saying, oh yes, of course, the Bible, woohoo! You know, it's like what? It's like when you see, for example, a bad event happening in Egypt, yani كده to the Copts or something like that. And you see مثلا bad people post online that have never been to church for like the last 4 or 5 years, and like, لا, we're Christians, we're مش عارف ايه, how? No! You will be asked for the blood of every Christian. Ya habibi, طب when was the last time you went to church and prayed for these people? Right? So, yes, you're saying you believe and you're part of all of this. It's like supporting a soccer team. Yani, if you support a soccer team or what sport do y'all watch? Ew. Okay. Okay. Okay, I'm just kidding. Calm down. Calm down. All right? Ben, you're too short to play basketball anyways. I know. All right, okay. Anyways, so, okay, think of your favorite basketball team, right? Like, when we're just sitting there watching, basketball, doesn't make us a solid basketball player, right? It's different when I actually play the sport and I understand, right? Okay. Back to your question, that when there's somebody who's raised in an atheist environment, how do we address something like this? Actually, I think it's a better idea that we let Abuna Anthony answer this, so that you can participate with me. So she's asking if God puts somebody in our way that is raised atheist in an atheist family, how we should deal with this.
Okay. Abuna caught me by surprise when I was searching in my phone, so it's okay. I was just answering a question. Well, first of all, you have to understand that the Holy Spirit is a spirit of convictions. So you're not working only alone in this. But you have to be very careful, because we have to ask ourselves one question that's very important. If that person really interested to know God, he wants to know God or not. You remember the parable when Jesus tried to cure the paralytic man? The first question he asked him what? Yeah, do you want to be healed or not? God will never impose himself on anyone without permission. So you have to understand and be very careful if that person really wants to know God or not. And the other thing, don't worry about it, because God knows how to reach the people who really seeking him. Because the Holy Spirit cannot leave anyone just like that. If this person is interested, God will send the right person for him. And it happened for me personally when some atheists and some even Muslims. And I found that God, arranged a miraculous interview with them without me even interfering in anything. And I realized later on that they are very interested to know about Christianity and about Jesus and would like to convert. And I sometimes just I look to God's work and I was so amazed how he orchestrated the whole interview and make it so easy for me. And I didn't do anything. They are interested, they eager, they want it. And then when I try to approach them, they respond that fast. So don't worry about it. If some person in this environment, God will search for him. If God really knew in advance that this person is interested and he wants to know him. The last thing I want to just comment about Abuna when he was talking about doubt, I just want to ask you one question. Why don't you doubt your own doubt? Did you think about this? I'll leave you with this.
Oh, I actually, look at that. Look at that. We tripped the doubt. The doubt fell. This, yani, I have a feeling the servants put this here so we can trip over it or for it to fall. So thank God the doubt is what fell. We killed the doubt. Okay, yeah. All right. Any other questions? Okay, perfect. Okay, sure. It's a great question. Okay, do we just walk away from people? Do we walk away from them and let them win? Okay, here you have to really think, is your argument about winning? What they're doing is they're thinking about it is when someone is arguing for the sake of arguing, they're arguing to win in their mind. They're not arguing to learn. We have to be above that. No, they're not. No. So there's a difference between walking away because I don't understand, and there's a difference between that and walking away because I know that this is a waste of time, right? The solution, by the way, for people who, like, if you know someone in your life that's close to you or even at school or something like this, for somebody that you know that is just arguing for the sake of arguing or they have atheistic thoughts and they're not willing to listen or learn or anything like this, the very simple thing that turns atheists around today, and Abuna, correct me if I'm wrong, is love. Feeling the love of God through our actions and through through our Christianity, not through the words that we say. Right? When people don't want to, like the devil sees that, okay, when it comes to this, if I let people have the chance to understand what these Christians are saying, then this whole war of doubt, khalas, the Christians will win. So what is the devil, what is the thing that is happening in the world today is that people are less tolerant of listening, less patient, all the stuff we talked about earlier, to the point where we just want to argue for the sake of arguing, or we just don't have the patience or the interest to even learn or understand or anything like that. And the only solution to this that the devil can't do anything about is when through our actions, right? When Christ says, you are the light of the world. This means what? People see the light of Christ within us through our actions, through what we do. When we show these people love, this is the one thing that turns them around. And there's a very good example that we, like there are examples living in the world today that started their life not knowing Christ at all. And the thing that turned them to Christianity was feeling the love of the people that are Christians towards them. That they're not, like, I'll tell you a story, a very short story. I know I'm like, we started late though, so I'm sorry. But, okay. Do you guys know, I don't know if you know Amba Tadros from Borsaid or not. He's been a bishop for a very long time. And he was talking to us, he was here a few weeks ago. And I have a feeling that he knew that we had an apologetics conference. I don't know, he pulled me aside and he's like, love Yabuna, love, like this. I'm like, okay. So he goes, I will tell you a story. And I'll say it in his voice. I will tell you a story. There was man, and I was working with him 25 years. 25. Every time I go, I say, Ya Habibi, come to Christ. Come to Jesus. I want you to come to Jesus. And they say, no. You want me come to church for my money because I am rich. I say, no, I don't want your money. I want you. I want you. Love. I show love. 25 years يا ابونا 25 years انت لسه صغير black beard look at me I am old 25 years and then something happened and this man come back because I show love. He said, you really love me even though I say all these things? Yes. It's not about the argue don't work anymore. The argue don't work. It's about the love, right? So what's the point in this is that it's about love sometimes.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I'm second Abuna on something. I'm going to share an experience with you. Happened to me last month, actually. No, not at all. No. Oh, he's my friend, too. Last month, I was in Germany in an apologetic conference, too, in Stuttgart. And I met a German convert, and he's a young guy. And then, in the beginning, I thought he joined the church because he wanted to marry somebody, because Abuna told me most of the converts, they do that. They just convert because they're going to marry a Coptic girl or something. But in the night, I had a free session that people came and talked to me privately. So he came, he has some issues he would like, to take my opinion in it. So I told him, what interested you in a Coptic church? And he told me, Abuna, I was an atheist. And by the way, 80% of Europe now are atheists. 80% of Europe. Most of Europe, just 80% of Europe are atheists. Even a Scandinavian country, it's more than that. Maybe 85 or 90% of Scandinavian countries are totally hardcore atheists. So he told me, Abuna, I was an atheist all my life. My parents were atheists, and I grew in an environment where, and German, is very hard, emotionless people, and they don't get easily with others. But he told me, I have a guy who worked with me, and this guy showed me an amazing thing, a very loving, very kind person. And the way he treats others in a company, it's moved me. I've never seen somebody like that. Here in Germany, we don't care about anyone. We're very emotionless. We're very hardcore workers. All what we think about work and body and go out and have fun, and that's all what we know. But this guy, I felt this guy is not from this universe. He's something else. And that person kept on talking to me, and sometimes even I attacked him about his faith and stuff. He answered in a very loving way, and he didn't preach a lot. And he just, showed me love, showed me that he's helpful. He showed me a very high moral and ethics that I never, used to know before. And that's what I started asking him, what made you this person? And he started talking to me about God. And slowly, he never imposed himself. He even offered to transfer me or, to change me. But I'm the one, when I saw him, by this example, I started to really get interested. And I told him, I want to be like you. And the guy actually, he's not married and he's like late 30s. I told him, what you want to do in your life? And he said, you know what? I was in a relationship before I converted to Christianity, and he was baptized and a member of the Coptic church, but he told me, I'm not interested to pursue this life, and I want to dedicate my life for Christ. I want to go and have missionary work with the Coptic church, even in Africa or in anywhere in the world. I would like to bring more atheists and more people to God and tell them, you guys don't know what you miss. And that was a true testimony from a German guy, never met Christ, and he was an atheist, born in an atheist family. But as Abuna said, example, love, show them that we are different. That's what attracted them to Christianity.
Yeah. Yes. Huh? How do you doubt your own doubt? You can ask Abuna that when he talks. The idea of doubting your own doubt, it means like a lot of times we don't consider, like we just consider what we're doubting. But why is it that we only have these doubts without doubting that what I'm doubting is doubtable? شفت بقى? Like if I'm doubting the existence of God, for example, right? Why don't I doubt the fact that thinking that he doesn't exist, that this is what's false, that he doesn't exist? Thinking about that, it's the possibility that it's actually true. No? مفيش برضه?
Do you know about the scientist Pascal? Pascal? You know Pascal? And and you know that he had a book called The Man Who Played Dice with God, that he said, play dice with God. The guy actually invented the probability science. So he said, played 50-50. If you doubt God and you go to heaven and you found God, you lost everything, right? And if you doubt God and you go and you find there's no God, you lose nothing. But if you doubt God and you go to heaven and you found God, you lost everything. You got it? So play it by probability, then it is safer to believe in God. So when you doubt your own God, set me probability, I have 50-50. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. It's safer to take, the right approach rather than take the wrong approach. Sounds good?
Thank you. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. All right. Glory be to God forever. Amen.
We thank Abuna Anthony and we thank Abuna Tobia. So guys, I have like a small comment about the timing. When you guys check out today, you have to sign check out. In the morning, we have a liturgy. We have to attend the liturgy. If you don't attend the liturgy, you will not have outing. So please come in the liturgy. We have check in before going to the church in the liturgy. Now the time for the game time. Please everyone go and participate the game time. Thank you.